So for this question, I'm looking at number 49. And if you notice, the 49 says sine inverse of negative 0.5. So I'm bringing you back to this. Okay, notice that this is cosine sine. And so if I'm looking at sine inverse, in this case, of negative 1/2, sine inverse, sine first of all would be positive. It's the sine inverse, so it would be negative 0.5 would happen to be 0.6. Negative 0.6 in this case. If you look at number 50, it's a similar concept. Number 50, you have the inverse, cosine inverse of square root of 2 over 2. Again, cosine is the leading value. If I'm looking at square root of 2 over 2, I'm at right here 45 degrees, which is pi over 4. So memorizing this trig table will be very helpful to you for these questions. If you look at number 51, 51 is asking you for cosine inverse of negative square root of 2 over 2. And so if you come over here to this side, you see negative square root of 2 over 2 for cosine inverse, and you end up with 3 pi over 4, which is the solution. Okay, in number 52, you have tan inverse of 1. If you recall, it's side square root of 2, so tan inverse would be here at pi over 4. And we're looking at 1. Alright, remember, and also remember that tan is a ratio, so it's a ratio between sine and cosine. Alright, keep that in mind when you answer that question. Okay, cosine inverse of 7 pi over 6. Alright, if you look at 7 pi over 6, the inverse for that would be, should be 5 pi over 6 for this one. Another way you can look at this, I'm trying to see if I can make this for those who are not understanding. You know, if you think angle-wise, ask yourself, what is 3 pi over 5? If I take this and convert it over pi and I cancel, so I cancel the pi's and I divide, let's see there, 180 divided by 5, which is 36 times 3, means that we're looking at an angle of approximately 108 degrees. I'm looking for the inverse of this. Notice that for the inverse we get 2 pi over 5. And then we see a connection there between that, because if I were to convert this 180 over pi, and I would cancel, 5 goes into this 36 times, leaving me 72 degrees. I don't know if you're starting to see a connection there. Hint, hint. So yeah, to 180, just in case you missed that. Alright, and in this case, because, in the example I'm giving you, I'm talking about tan, and so at this point, this would be a negative, would have to be a negative. Okay. So, same thing goes for the cosine. If I took the cosine, the 7 pi over 6, and I said, okay, well, let me look at the 7 pi over 6 in degree form. So I multiply by 180 over pi. This cancels with this, which goes into this 30 times, leaving me 210 degrees. I want you to notice the connection between that and 5 pi over 6. Alright, so if I do 180 over pi, that cancels. 6 goes into 180 30 times, leaving me, 150. 5 times 30, 150, my mistake. If I take 210 and 150, what do they add up to? Okay? So it's kind of like a hint or a point you can use to check this particular example. And we will go over this in class again on Monday to make sure that you've got this. Alright, so let me stop this here and then I'll finish recording 55 to 60 because I'm running out of disk space.